Okay guys, I'm here for another retro review, and oh boy is it bad. Yeah, I'm not a guy that reviews bad stuff, normally. In fact, I try to find the good in everything I review, but the thing I'm reviewing today has no redeeming quality. This is a retro wrestling review. A retro wrestling review of the single worst WWE show in existence, unless you count ECW December to Dismember 2006, which I do, as is a WWE produced show, but that's for an entirely another vid. Because I am talking about a show so bad that arguably it's one of its better matches features Hardcore Holly. Yes. Hardcore Holly. Isn't that something? I am, of course, talking about King of the Ring from 1995. Took place June the 25th, 1995 from the Corestates Spectrum in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. You want to know how bad this show is? This show is so bad that it is remembered for one thing, and that's an ECW chant. The first ever ECW chant that took place on a WWE event took place here at this show. And let's put this into perspective. Okay? I'm going to run down the 8 people that are in this tournament, or at least that were originally scheduled to be in this tournament. Mabel, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, the Roadie, Bob Holly, Razor Ramon, and Yokozuna. So you have a King of the Ring tournament that has Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, and Razor Ramon in it. Now, Razor Ramon was injured, so, well, he wasn't actually injured, but they said that he couldn't do a tournament for some weird reason. So what was he replaced by? He was replaced by Savio Vega, who had qualified earlier in the night and became the 8th person. And honestly, given where they went, I'm going to say a lot of stuff about this show, because it is not good. So there are 8 matches on this card, so our total number of maximum number of stars is 40, and let me tell you, it gets nowhere near that. It doesn't even get to 10%. It gets, I'll get to that later. The opening contest, King of the Ring quarterfinal, Savio Vega versus Yokozuna. Half a star. My gosh, this is a bad match. And it actually had potential to, if they did it right, could have been a very good David versus Goliath type of thing. But again, WWE 1995 was so bad that there's nothing, you know, that a lot of their shows aren't that great. And even horribly bad shows at least have something worth watching on it. That's another thing. At least WrestleMania 11, one of the worst WrestleManias of all time, at least has Diesel and Shawn Michaels on it as a classic match. There's nothing here. Okay? This the finish to Savio Vega Yokozuna, they didn't want Yokozuna to be pinned, but they didn't want him to advance in the tournament. So he goes to ram Savio Vega, who's positioned against a turnbuckle. Savio moves and Yoko hits his head on the ring post, and Savio wins by countout. Like I said, this is a half a star match. So, not good. And Yoko is capable of so much more than this. King of the Ring quarterfinal, match 2. Here's this match I was talking about earlier. Bob Holly versus the Roadie in a 1-star match. One of 3 matches that are not half a star on this show. They're not good by any stretch of the imagination, but they are more than half a star. This one is 1 star, which is kind of sad, given that it's got a road dog before he really knew what it was, before he really found himself and was still green, and Bob Holly when he had the race car gimmick. Yes, 1995, the day where ordinary slobs, the day where the time where every wrestler had a secondary job that was far more mundane in pro wrestling. We had wrestling garbage men, We had wrestling race car drivers. We had Jeff Jarrett. We had Jeff Jarrett, who thought being a wrestler would help him become a singer for some dumb reason. And then something that I'm glad I never have to talk about, the wrestling plumber T.L. Hopper from 1996, which I'm glad I never have to talk about because he never made a WWE appearance on pay-per-view in 1996. That's how bad WWE and WCW, for that matter, was in 95, although WCW at least didn't ever get this bad in 95. It was still bad, but not this bad. This is a one-star match, even though it ends in the stupidest way I think I've ever seen a match end. You know that dumb spot where someone's on the mat and a guy goes up top? Clearly not do anything else because they stand there and then they jump off, not to do like a splash and elbow, just jump off, and someone puts their foot up. That's how this match physically ends. So it ends on basically a weird as molasses thing that I don't understand how that can ever, and there's a 3 count, it doesn't even look like a 3 count, it looks like there's actually a 2 and a 3, and yeah, that's a botched finish. It's a 1-star match, and I don't think it's that bad. It's better than half the matches on this show. It's just, boy, 1 star. Next match, King of the Ring quarterfinal, Shawn Michaels versus Kama. And what is the best match on here, but not by much. Not by much. In fact, here's one of the things I'm talking about. The way this bracket is set up, the winner of this match meets the winner of Mabel and The Undertaker, which is the next match. Now, you would logically think that you'd have Shawn Michaels face The Undertaker in the semifinals of this match. Oh, no, WWE wasn't thinking that. Oh, no. Because what happens here? We get a 15-minute time limit draw, and they kick both guys out. Oh, sure, I had no problem with him kicking Kama out. He didn't find anything to get over until he became the Godfather, and even then, that was more of a character than an actual wrestler, since Godfather was over based on the character he had and not much of his wrestling ability. But Shawn Michaels, I mean, I know that the King of the Ring never really made a star at all. Well, scratch that. It made Kurt Angle and to a certain extent Brock Lesnar, although Brock was going to actually get the WWE Championship anyway, and they just gave him King of the Ring as a reason to get the championship match. But it did make Kurt Angle. It made Kurt Angle who did something with it. Okay, every King of the Ring, and you can say that it made Austin. Well, no, it didn't really make Austin. What made Austin was his promo after that, so it had nothing to do with the King of the Ring. In fact, SummerSlam 96 and International Incident, well, at International Incident, he's facing Mark Marrow in a rematch, but he's not even on the main card of SummerSlam 96, and Austin didn't really get bigger, character-wise, until his neck injury happened in 97, and Triple H didn't become a star for 2 whole years after that. Ken Shamrock, the 98 King of the Ring, let's face that, he was a novelty. Shamrock was essentially a novelty act that never would have gotten anywhere past the Intercontinental Championship, which is why that and the tag title was the only title he won. Okay? And I might get to this more if I ever get to King of the Ring 99, but I don't even have to talk about the failure of the King of the Ring that was Billy Gunn. Yes, you can make a case for Edge, but the thing about Edge, Money in the Bank made Edge, not the King of the Ring. Money in the Bank is what propelled Edge to that main event level, not the King of the Ring. So, and Lesnar, they were already going to push him to the WWF Championship anyway, WWE Championship anyway. He didn't need the King of the Ring. In fact, Bret Hart didn't need it, and you could argue that it's the only reason Owen Hart didn't really do anything with it other than get a very good WWE Championship match at SummerSlam that they just then stopped afterward in '94. But seriously, Shawn Michaels deserved better. Even if he was in his prick stage where he was a massive prick, because he was at this time, even if he was in that, he deserves better than a 15-minute time limit draw. He deserved to at least go to either semifinal or the final. And I would argue King of the Ring. Heck, what I would technically envision, if Razor wasn't injured, you have Razor and Shawn go to the King of the Ring final, and I imagine it's probably where they might have originally been going if Razor wasn't injured, but given where they did with Razor injured, 2 stars, match is okay, it's a 2-star match, would have been better if a decisive finish, but, yeah. So then we get the King of the Ring quarterfinal, the final one, Undertaker versus Mabel. Half a star. While Mabel's not as bad as the Giant Gonzalez. Oh, Undertaker. Why? The people Undertaker had to face in 95. IRS is the best one that he had to work with. Okay, and that was at the Royal Rumble. In 95, after IRS, he's then in a feud of King Kong Bundy in one of his worst streak matches. Here, at the King of the Ring, he's facing Mabel. And he's losing to Mabel, by the way. And then he faces Kama at SummerSlam in a casket match. Needless to say, 95 is not a good year for The Undertaker in terms of matches. And seriously, again, I'm bringing this up. You had the possibility to put Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker in a match before you did it at Bad Blood 1997, and you don't do it. Instead, you have Mabel win, granted from interference of Kama, but he wins and goes straight to the finals of the King of the Ring. This match is a bad match. Because I don't care about times. You can have a long match if you want, but... And yeah, sometimes time can help a match, but it wouldn't have helped any of these matches. Going longer wouldn't help the majority of these, because most of the wrestlers here at that time were not good. Road Dogg became something, even though he was never the best in the ring, he at least had found a great gimmick to attach himself to. Bob Holly was never much of anything either. And that's the problem with this King of the Ring. You got a lot of people that just were not that great of in-ring workers, other than Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker and Razor Ramon, except he was injured. So that brings us to the King of the Ring semi-final. Savio Vega versus the Roadie. 1-star match. 1-star match. It's just the way it is. Finish, Roadie gets drop-kicked into Jeff Jarrett, and Savio Vega rolls the Roadie up and gets the win. So Savio Vega goes on to the semi-final, to the final. And then here's WWE's brilliance. This is one of those things I love about the WWE at times, or just really, you then give Savio Vega an interview about going to the finals, since he's now won 3 matches in under 2 hours. And what happens? He cuts the interview in Spanish to where none of the American audience could actually hear him or understand him. Even with Michael Hayes being Doc Hendrix translating for him, while it's funny, it doesn't save this segment. In fact, you don't even bother to have Carlos Cabrera speak Spanish. Nobody knew what Savio Vega was saying. If this show was in Texas, okay, get away with having someone speak Spanish, because probably half the audience would have understood it in Texas. This is Philadelphia. I don't know. I'm not from Philadelphia. I've never been there. I don't know how many Latinos or Spanish-speaking people that speak Spanish fluently are in Pennsylvania, but I imagine in 95, not a heck of a lot. I imagine most of them live in places that are like around the Mexican border. Again, I don't know. Don't quote me on that. Why? Why in the world would you have a Spanish-speaking promo on an American broadcast? This makes sense if you would just had it be all broadcast in Spanish, but the problem is that, well, most people who live in this country of America speak English. And unless you took it fluently unless you took it in high school enough to understand it fluently, you're not going to understand this. And by the way, Puerto Rico is technically in America, is a United States Commonwealth owned by the United States. So yeah, while they speak Spanish there, I'm sure almost all of them know how to speak some English. In fact, Savio Vega knows how to speak English. I just don't see why they didn't have an English-speaking interview here. So then, one of the matches that this show is memorable for, and it's not even that great. It's Bret the Hitman Hart versus Jerry the King Lawler in the match that finally ended their 2-plus-year feud. A rivalry that started at the 1993 King of the Ring finally ends here in a Kiss My Foot match. Oy. The loser had to kiss the winner's foot, and in the storyline, Jerry Lawler had not washed his foot in over, since the May in Your House or something. Which contradicts itself when you actually see without his foot on, because a non-clean foot in over a month would look really, really gunky. The sock looked gunky, but the foot looks clean. Now, granted, I know that no one would do that, and you had to sell it like that, but Bret wins with a sharpshooter. There's nothing in this match. That's the problem. Most of these matches have nothing in them to talk about. So it's just you end up more ranting about how bad this show is than trying to go into in-depth analysis. And like I said, this is one of the few things I can't find anything of a redeeming quality for. So then we got our King of the Ring final, Savio Vega versus Mabel. Half a star. And I will say this, Mabel wins with a big splash and becomes the 1995 King of the Ring. Now here's the thing. WWE most likely, with this whole Savio Vega thing, was trying to build a star for the Latino population to get behind. Want to know how you do that, WWE? You have Savio Vega win this match. He wasn't that bad of a worker. Okay, I doubt that the American fans would have got behind him, but the Spanish people probably loved this guy and probably would have got behind him. And on top of that, winning 4 matches in under 3 hours is an amazing storyline to go with. So yeah, I'm going to say it. If you're not going to give this King of the Ring to Undertaker or Shawn Michaels, you should have given it to Savio Vega just because of what you did with him throughout the night. Instead, you have Mabel win the King of the Ring and does absolutely nothing with it other than headline SummerSlam against Diesel in a match that had no business headlining SummerSlam. Mabel, probably, other than Billy Gunn, the worst King of the Ring at prospect, because, like I said, the Savio Vega thing is the best storyline. In fact, if you're watching the show for the first time and don't know who won the King of the Ring, you would almost point to the fact that Savio Vega was going to win this pay-per-view, because you could argue that the whole thing is centering around him. The whole King of the Ring tournament centers around Savio Vega after he gets into it. So why did the WWE not do that? There would have at least been an attempt to make a new star for the Latino population. Heck, take the Great Khali, one of the worst wrestlers he's ever employed. But you know what? At least his home country loved him, and that's why they kept him around so much. So then, a tag team match filled in great irony, as it's Diesel and Bam Bam Bigelow versus Sid and Tatanka. Half a star, and here's the irony about this match. Bam Bam Bigelow, one of the harshest critics, one of the most vocal critics of the Clique and their backstage politics, now finds himself in a program where he's teaming with one of the Clique against Sid and Tatanka. Oh boy, Tatanka main evented a pay-per-view. Now don't get me wrong, I have nothing against Tatanka. I thought Tatanka was a very good character in 92 and 93. But since they never did anything with him of any note, when he could have actually been an Intercontinental Champion, because at the time of when he came in, he was arguably probably the third most over guy in the company, he could have been something then. Then, you turn him heel at SummerSlam 94, which I will get to when I get to my SummerSlam review series, and that fails. And now here, he's teaming with Sid. Okay, while Sid is not the worst person, in fact, if he stays to being a big guy wrestler, he's not that bad in the ring. And the only reason he broke his leg at Sin 2001 was because Johnny Ace, Mr. People Power himself, wanted Sid to jump off the top rope, knowing that Sid should not do that. Or maybe he didn't. I don't know. I don't know what Johnny Ace was thinking at that time. But yeah, this match is bad. It's half a star. Of the 8 matches on this show, 8 matches on this show, 5 of them are half a star. 5. That is kind of... Oh, yeah. So, Diesel wins with a power bomb. Diesel and Bam Bam win with a power bomb, and then the show was off the air. I will say that on WWE Network, they also showed the kickoff match, Todd Vega qualified, but I'm not including that on here because it wasn't on the main show anyway. So yeah, this, like I said, there's a couple of shows that are just easy to rip on. This and December to Dismember are the only 2 WWE shows that I know are easy to rip on, and even then, I didn't rip on it like I could have. Now, better critics than me, because yes, I admit, I'm probably not the best reviewer in the world, better ones probably could have made a far more humorous video for this. Okay? Of how bad this show is. But even if I would put clips about it in here, I'm not going to do that, because even if I did put, to avoid the YouTube copyright, or whatnot, the WWE would strike, even if I did put them in here, the WWE would strike me for copyright probably anyway. So, anyway, this will be in my retro By the way, in case you're wondering, this show gets a 6.5 out of 40. So, it doesn't even reach, 25%. It's just a little over 10. In fact, I think it's at about 15%, so, yeah, it's an F. To get to a D minus, you'd have to at least get the 20% of your rating. So this has been a retro review. This will be in the retro review series retro wrestling review playlist. The next retro wrestling review will be a WCW pay-per-view, which will be uploaded Monday. Don't know what it'll be. So if you like the video, like button down there, subscribe button down there. Thank you for watching. Bye.